Struggling to get smooth, vibrant ink blending on your cards? Today, I am sharing common ink blending mistakes I see all the time and how to fix them while we create two beautiful cards using the alt-new Fanciful Pansies. By the end of this video, you'll know how to get smooth blends, more vibrant colors, and avoid that patchy or muddy look. And we'll have two finished cards, one light and bright and one bold and dramatic, a typical Yana card. Hi everyone, I'm Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. I'm starting with a panel of hammermill cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches and placing it on my alt-new grip mat. This holds everything in place, no tape or magnets needed, which really helps with control while blending. I have already stamped the pansies outline in black ink and even embossed it in clear embossing powder, something I really like to do to preserve these crisp black outlines. Otherwise, depending on the ink you're using, the ink might smear as you ink blend, or the ink might react to the ink you're blending with, and it might even dilute in the end, giving you uneven and fuzzy edges. So let's dive into the mistakes. Starting directly on paper is a mistake. As I start blending, mistake number 1 is going in with too much ink right onto your project. Landing your blending tool directly on the cardstock creates a harsh circle or splotch of ink, which is very hard to get rid of. To fix this, always tap off or start your circular motion on your glass mat or scrap paper first, or even your stencil, and then gradually move onto the cardstock for a seamless transition. I like to load my brush and start on the stencil and then slowly bring my blending brush into the paper. You can always add more ink, but you cannot take it away if you've added too much. Not controlling your blending area is also a mistake. Now, I want each flower on this card to be a different color, but the flower layers are all located on the same stencil layer, so I'm masking sections using acetate sheets. This mistake is not controlling where your ink goes, which can lead to muddy colors. As I'm blending purple flower and yellow flowers, I can accidentally contaminate the two colors, and this is going to give me a muddy brown, which really is no fun. So use masks to isolate area of your stencils and keep colors clean and vibrant. I have a wonderful offer from alt-new for you today. You can take 50% off ultra sticky tape complete bundle from alt-new. That's a whole lot of double-sided tape that you can use to assemble your cards. I love alt-new tape and I use it all the time. You can see the code and the promotion details on the screen and also in the video description below. Keep in mind, this is limited in time, so you only have 2 days to take advantage of this offer. Using the wrong paper surface is also a mistake. When using standard porous cardstock that soaks up the ink too quickly, it becomes nearly impossible to blend colors together. You can fix this by using high-quality, smooth cardstock like hammermill or specialty blending paper that allows the ink to sit on the surface longer for easier movement. The same applies to pretty much anything in card making. When you color with alcohol markers, you want the paper that's specially designed for that. When you watercolor, you want high-quality watercolor paper that can take and handle all the water, and so on. So make sure you're using the right type of paper for your ink blending to get the best results possible. Using contaminated blending tools or brushes is a mistake. Now, using a tool that still has a hint of a different color, like using a pink brush for a yellow ink, results in a muddy or dirty looking blends. I'm not talking about using a light pink for a medium pink color. No, you're fine when you use the same brush in the same color family, although I would still try and get it as clean as possible between switching the different shades. But don't use the same brush for different colors. No good will come from this. Unless you're very, very good and you know you want to get a new color and you know color theory and you know how the colors blend and behave together. Instead, dedicate one brush per color family. You can quickly clean them on a dry cloth or a microfiber towel between uses. You don't need to have a blending brush for every color out there. But you do need to have at least, I would say, 10 or 11 brushes for all the main colors. A yellow brush, a green brush, a blue-green brush, a blue-purple brush, a purple brush, a pink brush, an orange brush, a gray brush, and probably even a black brush. Giving up too early on your ink blending is also a mistake. Stopping the blend halfway your blending process because it looks splotchy or uneven is not the way to go. Take a break, go get coffee, come back, your inks will smooth out and they will also dry a bit lighter and you'll be able to safely continue blending. Different inks behave differently. Some blend beautifully and smoothly right away. Other inks need a little bit of time, so don't get frustrated right away. You can also reapply the lighter ink over the join of two colors to smooth everything out. Pressing too hard is also a mistake. Pressing too hard with a blending tool not only creates streaky lines, but also wears down your foam or blending brushes faster. To fix this, use a light, feather-like touch. It is better to build up color in multiple thin layers than to try and get the full saturation all at once. Use a light hand and let the brush do the work for you. This gives you that soft, smooth transition instead of harsh edges. Not letting your layers dry is another mistake. Do not rush. I'm working through all 4 stencil layers and I let the ink dry slightly in between the layers. I'm not rushing. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Give your ink a moment to dry and don't overthink it. This keeps your colors crisp and vibrant. This also avoids your ink blending seeping under the stencil, which can also happen, especially if you're using brand new ink pads that have a lot of ink. So these are the mistakes that I see all the time and even sometimes make them myself. Do you know any other mistakes? Let us know in the comments below. With my blending done, I'm using the coordinating die and running it through my Platinum 6 die cutting and embossing machine. Now I also die cut another second layer from scrap cardstock and I glue these 2 layers together to make my die cut piece sturdier. For my first card, I'm keeping things light and fresh. I have an A2 card base. This is top folding, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I have a panel, a white cardstock panel that is cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I'm foam mounting this panel onto my card base, and then I'm adding my pansy cluster on top, slightly offset, and I'm using scissors to trim the excess. Finally, I'm adding Thankful for You sentiment, which also comes in this stamp set. Result: clean, bright, and very soft. For my card number 2, which is a dark version, a dramatic version of this card, I'm going bold. Now, I like to use colored cardstock for the background of my cards, and I'm using Desert Night cardstock from Alt New. To match the white outline of my die cut to this color, I'm using a Copic marker. In this case, this is B97, and I've colored the edge of my die cut using this marker. This helps the white outline disappear and gives a seamless professional look. I do the exact same thing in terms of measurements and foam mounting, and this gives me a beautiful dramatic card. I finished both cards with the Alt New Crystal Clear enamel dots for a little bit of shine and detail. So these are my ink blending mistakes to avoid. Fixing just one of them can completely transform your results. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Which mistake have you struggled with the most? And if you try this technique, I would love to see what you create. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.